Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Hello.
We love you all.
Wait, are you recording?
Yes.
Again, right.
Yeah,
we just had a problem there
we had technical
on the
difficulty.
phone. It stopped recording.
Yeah.
We don't know how much long in. It just stopped recording.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to redo the start. Sorry.
So, here's the crack, right?
Here's the crack.
Happy New Year. We've already had Christmas. We made jokes about the EunoiaCast. So just imagine them in your head.
Yeah. Imagine all the jokes we made and all the funny laughs we had.
Where we came into 2020.
We came into 2020. Everyone was stoned in the party.
And we were having
not really a party. It was like 5 people.
Very stoned.
You two had
said
space cakes.
Said it was going to be a great year.
Said it was going to be a great year.
Wasn't a great year.
That's fairly obvious. You knows best.
Good.
This is going to be probably shit, listener.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and stuff happened. And,
These two were getting stoned. We entered the new year watching All Lang Syne. We were watching the ITV thing, Countdown.
Playing Countdown.
Fucking musicians won. They were having a genuinely great time of their lives.
Yeah.
And we went into 2020 and I said it might be a great year. It's going to be a great year, and then it wasn't a great year, and I was completely wrong.
Turned out to be pretty shit.
It's a bit of a shit prediction.
Yeah.
That we're sorry about the start.
Yeah, it's a bit
blame it on Aaron.
Don't blame it on me.
Yeah.
Blame it on
blame it on shitty Samsung.
Yeah.
It's an old Samsung.
Blame it on me, mum.
Yeah, blame it on Aaron's mum. Kevin. Blame it on Aaron's mum, Kevin.
It's a shame Kale isn't there, because I was thinking we could introduce him and say he has a really thick Irish accent.
But then he wouldn't. He just introduce him having a thick Angolan accent. he's like, oh no. Alright, so we've got categories today.
Yeah, we got topics.
We've got topics that we're all going to choose from.
We
explained this. We already done some of them. We've done the first one, and then we realised it wasn't recording, so we're going to have to redo it. Aaron, what was yours?
So, mine was Trump's moment where he said, and we did win this election.
Yeah.
Obviously, go back through what we've already said as if we haven't said it yet. Where we all stayed up to watch the election. We'd been up a while. It was somewhere between 6 and 10 o'clock in the morning for us, and then obviously in America it was earlier than that. And Trump came out on stage while the votes still being counted. He had a lead. If the election was called,
he said a speech in the White House.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. In the White House, which is a very weird choice because obviously.
Well, he's been doing that a lot. He's been holding just purely partisan political events in the White House,
which you're not meant to do.
Yeah. And if the election had been called right then and there, he would have won because he was leading in various states. But obviously, they hadn't counted most of the vote or all the votes yet. And he said he won the election, and it was pretty horrible. Really, it was pretty bad. It was a bit of a mask off moment, there were some proper rat fuck conservatives who even they'd said that he shouldn't have done that, like Ben Shapiro. But Ben Shapiro has also been entertaining the vote fraud thing after the fact. He's been a fucking just coward about it. Where he hasn't said either way. Dave Rubin has been
told off.
But off by who?
Just fucking people I don't know, Paul Watson kicking off. His mum might have said single.
Yeah, his mum
got grounded.
He's a bit of a mummy's boy, Ben.
But he's been a real coward, not saying he agrees with it, but then having people on who are like, oh, this is really weird. And the really cowardly centrist position to take on voter fraud is, well, it does look weird, so we should just have an investigation into it to figure out. And in reality, it's no, if you have any sense about it, you'd recognise that this is just a fascist ploy to subvert democracy.
Yeah, he basically took on the Joe Rogan role.
Yeah.
Getting on guests. I don't agree with this guy, but you've got to hear his point. Yeah.
I just want to talk about the ideas.
Yeah, the ideas is all that matters. Yeah, the ideas are so important. Yeah, frankly, we did win this election moment no, it's recording, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright. That moment was very disturbing. It was a rough time. We watched it live and it hit us hard while we were watching it. Yeah, you would have had immediate reactions after if we didn't lose it, but it's fine. It's fine.
So,
that was a pretty
thanks,
big moment.
Amy.
We'll try and get through this one quickly because we've already went through it. What was your biggest moment of the year, Sienna?
Well, I did a bit of the death of RBG, not J, like I keep trying to say.
Yeah.
And then obviously the big thing of Amy Coney Barrett being a fucking bitch and RBG and track of women's rights and all that. I don't know. I've already been through this. I don't know how to repeat myself.
Yeah,
but,
RBG, good women's rights person. She died
cool
not over.
She did stuff like she did a lot of stuff about women being pregnant and not being able to be sacked because of it, and the whole shenanigans and
her definitely.
She wore her mother-in-law's clothes to hide her pregnancy so she could get her contract renewed. So she was pretty sneaky, and it was pretty cool. A dying wish was that another justice not be sworn in until the next president's elected. Obviously, it didn't fucking happen. Amy Coney Barrett, I've already said this, but like just to reaffirm, she is a bitch. She's a bit of a cunt. And all that.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Another thing with that, Amy Coney Barrett actually winning means Conservative supermajority in the by 6-3.
Pretty bad for abortion rights.
Pretty bad for any liberal ideas, basically.
Mitch McConnell being the fucking. I've made a joke about Pan's Labyrinth and him looking like the thing off it with the eyes and its hands. You know what I mean?
And also, stopping the not even hearing the thing to Merrick Garland. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, no, we haven't talked about this one.
No, they didn't. They refused to even hear the hearing from Merrick Garland because it's Mitch McConnell's strategy is to just not let Democrats do anything when they actually win elections. He didn't. There was one of Obama's budgets that Republicans all voted against before they'd even heard it. Which is pretty astonishing. And I think with Joe Biden, he said that if they keep a Senate majority, Mitch McConnell said something like, you can consider him the Grim Reaper because he will not allow Biden to pass anything.
Okay. Well, he did also, the reason he gave for not allowing the justice through was that it was too close to an election, being, a year away. And now this one he's pushed through Amy Coney Barrett despite the next election being a month.
It might have been the fastest they've ever put a Supreme Court.
Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks. It was very quick. And she had the hearings very quick. It was very rushed. She's like, right, we might lose this election. We need it. Basically, Trump and Mitch McConnell spearing, we need that majority in case we lose the presidency, we lose the House, we lose the Senate. At least we've got the Supreme Court majority to back us in any cases that might go to it. And they've got that now, and let's hope for the best that they don't do anything too radical. There's some Conservatives on there who aren't extreme radicals to the degree
like
of
Neil Gorsuch.
No, Neil Gorsuch isn't.
He's conservative,
still
but he's
a
not like
conservative
extreme.
scum, but he's not as extreme as Barrett, and Kavanaugh isn't that extreme. I don't think
he was when he raped that woman.
Though. He did do. He was a pretty bad. He's a terrible person, but we're just trying to judge it in the sense of who's the most extreme. And that's your two biggest. My biggest is Qasem Soleimani's assassination on January 3rd. Threats of nuclear war, all that jazz is lovely stuff. Yeah, he was assassinated 12:05 a.m. on night. Brutal death, burned to death in his car. Got the pictures, saw the ring, the picture. His body just fucking horrible corpse. Not saying the man didn't deserve to die. He was a terrible person. Yeah, he was a general for an awful military.
Yeah,
but
create loads of
probably don't do it then. Also, I read that Trump's reasoning for doing it. So initially, he didn't. He actually rejected it on December 28th. But then that same night, or maybe the next morning, he watched Fox. Might have been Fox and Friends. Yeah. And he got really angry about Iranians doing something to an American airbase, something about Baghdad. Yeah. And he got really, really angry and decided we must kill him now, even though it wasn't Soleimani linked to that directly. So,
that's a big thing in his presidency, is making pretty fucking potentially drastic decisions. Just kind of on a whim. When he'd in John Bolton's book that he wrote after he left the administration, I can't remember what it was called, but he said that at one point Trump just decided to leave NATO, and then just decided
then went back on it. I'm joking. I won't leave the most important military organisation of the last fucking humanity. On. Trump went back on it, decided to kill him, whatever. He also brilliant Trump quote is he was on an interview with one of the left wing media organisations in America, and he said Soleimani was saying bad things about our country. So not the security threat Soleimani had. He said bad things about our country. Yeah. Come on, man. Yeah. Bit of perspective.
But plus, it's undermining one of the few genuinely very good things that Obama actually managed is
the nuclear code.
The nuclear code. I mean, and just getting around to the negotiating. Obviously, Trump left the nuclear deal as well, but just furthering horrible relations with Iran. And I think I wouldn't have put it past Trump to go to war with Iran in the second term. definitely.
Oh yeah, that could have potentially happened. Yeah, I think might die down a bit more. I think Biden's probably a bit more diplomatic, willing to re-enter that accord that Iran stepped out of when Soleimani was killed. So they said we're not sticking by it. We'll stick by. They said they stuck by the UN. The UN nuclear thing. They'll stick by that. The restrictions on them from that, but they will not stick by the deal between them and America. So yeah. That happened on January 3rd. Then January 4th happened. There was a lot of bad words being thrown around.
Ukrainian flight shot down.
Yeah, the Ayatollah of Iran said... no, that's a bit after. But the Ayatollah of Iran said that we will get revenge and retaliation is waiting. Which is just disturbing words to hear 4 days into the year.
We will cut off the legs of America, you know.
Yeah, we will cut off the legs of America and throw it to its allies. Just... didn't quite happen, but you know. And we aren't Iran defenders. Iran's a horrible country, but
I mean,
you've got to make.
I know they launched an attack on a military base.
Yeah, they launched an attack on a military base in January. It was January 6th.
Yeah.
I
think anyone died.
No, January 8th. During the night, they launched it. Nobody died, but a lot of soldiers were injured, and a lot of them got PTSD from it.
Yeah.
A lot of them were recalled. America deployed 3,500 troops as well, which was really some from the 92nd Airborne Division. So they were getting prepared. They were clearly prepared for a big retaliation. That didn't quite come. There was only 15 missiles shot. Only 11 hit 2 of the bases. Nobody killed, thankfully, because I think if there were deaths, American deaths, then it would have escalated further.
I think the other thing that put a hammer on it escalating was probably just COVID, because that kind of took over the headlines. You know?
Yeah. Just before then, though, just before that attack, Trump, one of the probably most disturbing threats he's made towards a country was that he'll bomb cultural sites.
Oh yeah, it's
which was a war crime, and of course it's a war crime. These are protected cultural sites of the world, really. And he threatened to bomb 52, not cultural sites, just sites in general, and some of them cultural sites, because they represent the 52 American soldiers killed during the embassy siege in Iran. I think. So yeah. It was very symbolic response, and
I mean, I saw some of the cultural sites he threatened to bomb, and some of them were actually just like really cool. Some of them were important for actually understanding history, like ancient, like really up fucking like 1,000-year-old,
like Babylonian,
like ruins. And then there are others. Just there's this fucking really cool Armenian church. I think it's in northern Iran.
Armenian church.
Yeah, Armenian church
in Iran.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, he threatened to bomb that, and like I saw it, I'd like visit that, but maybe not.
Maybe not at the moment. I probably won't go to Iran anytime soon. But yeah, that they were big events, and then obviously probably the crescendo, but it did die down after this, was the shooting down of the Ukrainian flight on January 8th as well, both the same night as the bombing of the bases, the American bases. 200, I mean, it was 120 people died plus. Which was a horrible thing. And at that point, you were thinking maybe, well, this could be going in a really bad direction. This could be war. Thankfully, it was averted. Iran kind of sat back like, all right, we won't do anything more. We'll leave the nuclear accord. We're going to start really pushing for nuclear energy now. And we're going to start using our uranium-rich deposits that recently were bought by America under the deal. But that all happened. We were all worried about... I wasn't genuinely thinking nuclear war will occur, because obviously Iran, I think, don't have nukes, as far as we know in terms of news stories. But you could at least go, there might be a massive war that could occur in the Middle East yet again, which would have been quite...
Oh, well, it could have just been the domino effect of, Iran retaliates, kills an American soldier, US retaliates, kills some Iranians, and then
and then eventually Iran or America declares war on one another.
And I think if Americans had been killed, given Trump's temperament, like, fucking probably would see war.
Yeah.
Was there oil tankers this year?
No, they were last year. The British oil tanker, and they took them over, They were hostages for 2 months. The couple of our Brits were hostages for 2 months. Yeah, that one was quite disturbing. We've obviously avoided, for these 3 stories, we've avoided bringing up COVID or BLM. They will come up later.
They're their own categories.
They're their own categories, they're their own stories. They are obviously the biggest stories of this year, especially COVID. So we're going to bring them up in a bit. But we'll move on to a second category, which is your most bizarre story you've read this year that you just found fucking just completely, utterly idiotic. Cool. Just cool and funny.
And trippy.
and trippy, like you're acid tripping or something. Right? You've took LSD and acid, right? And you're just tripping watching it. Right. So, Aaron, you can go first. You lead.
Mine was Jair Bolsonaro, honoured president of Brazil.
Very respectable president of Brazil. He's such a lovely man, really.
He'd said that the COVID vaccine might turn you into a crocodile. He also said it might make women grow beards. Yeah, which is really clever.
Yeah,
which is
no, he didn't.
He did? Genuinely? Don't know. I didn't even realise he was anti-vax, but I mean he's right wing, so
what else do you expect?
But that was quite emblematic of a lot of the crazy just anti-vax shit that's been happening this year. Obviously, this year vaccines have been more important than ever. I'm sure there was one. I think you told us about it. It was about in Russia. There was some video where it was like people turned into gorillas after they take the vaccine.
Yeah, no, it was that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine will turn you into a gorilla if you have it, right? And then they fucking animated a picture of British people acting like gorillas.
No, it was Boris Johnson.
Yes, Boris Johnson was an ape, like kept doing his speech. His daily coronavirus briefings, and he was an ape.
Yeah. So the thing is, you kind of expect that stuff from from like crackpots, from like probably weird people on the internet or people in the US, like in the deep south. But you don't expect it from actual world leaders.
Yeah, like the I don't know if Putin said the thing about the gorillas, but the Russian government did at least, and you don't expect it from the president of probably one of the biggest countries. I mean, one of the biggest.
Most important country in Latin America.
Yeah, definitely, but by like a country mile. Yeah, in terms of its economic output and its population, it is really a vital country, and everyone's starting to trade with Brazil. It's a big building economy, and you get this president who comes in and makes just absurd claims. Obviously, the whole year he's been doing that. He was anti-lockdown. He thought it was nonsense. Now I think nearly 100,000 Brazilians are dead. Yeah. So. He's done that pretty consistently throughout his little political career. That I think came around 2018. He's been a bit bad, and so he's just rolling.
Yeah, I'm rolling my boat.
Yeah. That was. They were quite. Right. Yeah, they were quite interesting claims from Jair.
From Jair Bolsonaro.
Yeah. Then, what was your most bizarre story, Scarlett?
Oh shit, mine was so this one is actually 2019 but bled into 2020 a bit. Chris Grayling, the ex what? Chris Grayling.
Chris Griffin.
No, right, the ex Secretary of Transport of the UK. So, we're preparing for a no deal Brexit, right? So they're like, right, what do we need? And we're like, oh shit, food. Like we need to eat.
We do need a lot of food.
And we're like, oh shit, how are we gonna get food in the country? What floats on water? Oh shit, boats. Right, so he gave a £13.8 million he made a contract with this company. Right? So they were gonna ferry trucks carrying food into the country to be distributed. It's a great plan actually. It's the thing you need.
I like it.
I think it's a well rounded plan. So this company was like, it was just proper good. It was very well rounded contract in that but they were just missing one thing, like, and that was that this company had no history of trade ever. What's the second? I'm gonna leave the biggest till last. Oh yeah, no established trade routes, so nowhere to actually cross into Britain through the water, and probably like the least important actually, they didn't have a single fucking boat. They did not own a ferry.
And trucks.
They didn't have any history, transporting trucks anywhere, and didn't own a single fucking ferry. And the website, alright, this is one of my personal favourites, the website terms and conditions that were listed, official company guidelines, were copied and pasted from a pizza delivery company, which is just fucking beautiful.
Domino's scammed the government.
Got fucking Papa John's scamming the UK government.
Scamming Grayling.
Yeah, and they said that by the end of summer 2019 they hoped to have a grand total of 2 ferries in their possession.
We'll be having loads of Kinder Bunnels when we sort that out.
The website was so the login box box. So where, you know, you put your username, your password, and you log in and you do your stuff. It was a picture, so you couldn't actually do fuck all with it. The language, like the option to change languages, was also a picture, so again, couldn't do fuck all with it. And yeah, that's the story. And then he defended it. He said, well, actually, we did a very in-detail check of this company before we decided to trade with them.
Didn't try the website.
Clearly fucking, yeah, didn't look on the website, didn't do 5 seconds of fucking Googling about it.
The best one is, I am not apologising for making a British business.
Yeah.
Even though it's not even a business.
Not for funding a new British business.
Yeah, he tried to spin it in the patriotism.
Yeah, he's trying to play on people's like patriotism, and it just did not work.
It reminds us of well, it was on. I think it was on Question. No, it was Question Time. Basically, it was a moment when David Cameron got asked about Brexit. And it was like a genuine question about it, and then he just like shifted into, "My office is right next to where Churchill was when he did Churchill stuff."
Yeah,
and it was
just
like,
a lot of bullshit. Patriotic
just segueing into like just mega patriotism to ignore the fact that you fucked up. Yeah.
That was a great story from 2019 and 2020.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got Jar claiming that. We've got Bolsonaro claiming that you could turn into a fucking women will grow beards if you have the vaccine, and then you got Chris Grayling being a fool.
Someone this year,
but someone
came back.
No, someone came back, and someone had a really good year in Africa. I'm telling you, right? Oh, he should be the thumbnail.
He should be first of the year.
Right. So there was a local election in Namibia, obviously the African country, majority black country, and there was a big battle between two. There was only got 1,500 votes between them.
No.
It was a big battle, and it was a fairly, I don't know the other guy's name, but a fairly just typical name, right?
Yeah. And then this left winger,
this left wing party member,
it was black,
called Adolf Hitler. Right? Called Adolf Hitler won an actual council election, local election, by nearly 1,000 by 1,000 votes against his opposition. One going well from the opposition. I mean, when you are in 2020 and you've lost an election against some fucker calling himself Adolf Hitler, like genuinely Adolf Hitler, he had to come out afterwards and say, "Look, I don't agree with the Nazi party. I don't agree with Adolf Hitler."
Just calling
because his dad didn't know who Adolf Hitler was. He just heard of his. He heard his name. Fucking mint.
Yeah, he heard his name from Europe, so just called him Adolf, and their last name was already Hitler, because Namibia used to be owned by Germans, and Hitler was just a German name, so German-Austrian name. So Adolf Hitler in 2020, this is very typical of the year, won an actual local election in an African country.
I mean, God knows what he's going to do next.
Yeah, exactly. He's he's left-wing economically and right-wing socially, so you never know what's going to happen with that. He calls himself a bit of a national socialist. He doesn't really like the president.
He's been banging on about like saving the white race.
He bangs on about that, and he's like, all the supporters are like, what?
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's their accent, Namibians. So there were some classic banging, bizarre stories of 2020. Yeah, they were great. Mm-hmm. Moving on to the third category though, the most disturbing, like just horrible story that came out this year. Yeah. There's a lot to come through. A bit more serious here, but we'll end up laughing about it, I'm sure. What was your most bizarre, disturbing story?
So it's more of a study, but I just read the press release for the study, which was you told us about earlier on. Yemen is at the start of the year predicting that it could literally be wiped off the map by coronavirus because the country's already obviously in such a fucking horrible state where people are dying all the time because of the civil war there. And then also because the health infrastructure of the whole country's just completely been fucked.
Saudi Arabia blocking food imports, that's another one. Yeah,
which, and you always remember that implicitly has the support of us in the UK and the Americans, which is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
And it could just be wiped out. There's several million dead, potentially. I don't even know. Well, to be fair, I don't even know if they'll be able to actually collect casualty figures from coronavirus because of how fucked it is.
Well, I don't think they'll be able to tally them up. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some coming out from the government, but I bet they're not accurate.
I think in the Sky News article I read today about it, it said something like half the country's hospitals have been destroyed, which is just and it already didn't have many. So,
of course not.
And I think the thing that makes it depressing is that it's just emblematic of a lot of trends across the whole world, but particularly of this year, which is that the people who get fucked the most in the world by new events are the people who are already getting fucked the most.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's people in the third world and, you know, more minorities and women. That's happened with COVID. I actually didn't know this. Women are more likely to get COVID than men. Between ages I think it's 18 to 50 odd.
Oh.
Which because they work more in the health.
Minorities are as well.
Yeah, minorities are way more.
How much people don't care about the communities.
Yeah.
And abandon them, you know, Kansas Valley in America, for example.
But yeah, it's just depressing. I mean, it's every crisis that happens. This happened in 2008 as well. Just always affects the worst off people more so than anyone else, and this is just another example of it. So you could just say goodbye Yemen. Yeah,
Yemen might be a complete and utter failed state by the end. Well, maybe by 2021. In 2021, it could become a failed state, and I would not be shocked. Maybe 2022, as Saudi Arabia really wants it, and Iran are getting involved as well as a counterbalance against Saudi Arabian influence. More and more people are just starving to death. Children are starving to death en masse. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, well, because it's the civil war and all things that come with it is starvation. You already have diseases get spread during civil wars, and obviously people are dying from the actual war itself. And then on top of that, you get global pandemic, and it's a bit like stupid.
It is a bit daft. Probably not useless being serious. What was your most disturbing story of 2020, Scarlett?
Mine wasn't a specific story. It's just a general sentiment, right? So, I think one of the worst things that's happened this year, if you put it into context, because this has been going on a few years, but in the context of having a pandemic and discussion about what would happen in the case of a future pandemic, which probably will happen, the anti-vax movement, I think, has been a pretty disturbing one. Choice, You know, I think there's been... I joined a lot of Facebook groups just to see like what they're cracking on about. And there's a lot of piss and a lot of colloidal silver and fucking essential oils, basically. No, they genuinely do drink piss, some of them.
Yeah.
But I think what exacerbated it more than ever was that fucking actual president of the United States has been, a bit. He flirts with it a bit.
But he has told people to take the vaccine. But he does.
But he has said before that it causes autism and things like that. And even you see it on a local level now, where people in your area are posting shit on Facebook about the COVID vaccine, and genuinely thing I saw, how can they make a vaccine for COVID in 1 year when they haven't made a vaccine for cancer yet? It's fucking fake.
It's fake. It's made up.
Just an amazing point.
Then
really,
if you try to explain,
well-rounded.
It's just because every single fucking epidemiologist on planet Earth has been rushing for this vaccine and all competing. You got to remember, the reason the vaccine can be developed so quickly is probably due to competitiveness.
No, it's also the fact that
they're pushing into it.
They already had a vaccine for SARS, and
SARS-CoV-2 is just a mutation.
Yeah, it's just mutated. What we're experiencing is, I think it's just like it's very similar to SARS. It's a bit less fucking, what's the word?
Severe,
but more contagious, which is why it came out so fast with everybody working on it, a lot of competition, a lot of funding, and then also the fact that they already had a kind of base level vaccine to work on.
Plus comparing it to cancer is just fucking retarded because you can't vaccinate. It's only
you can vaccinate against diseases that cause cancer.
Yeah,
but not cancer itself.
I think cervical cancer you can get a vaccination to reduce your chances because it's a certain disease that causes it. But yeah, I thought that was pretty disturbing this year, just the rise of people that just very regular people and because before, when it first kind of started coming about, you're like, oh, it's just fucking Americans, being American. But now it's like local people, like, no, I'm not taking the vaccine, I'm not putting that shit in me, while sat with a fag, sat drinking, I'm not putting, my body is a fucking temple.
Yeah,
I'm not
respect
doing that.
my body.
I respect my body, I'm not putting that shit in myself.
The anti-vaccine had already been growing in the US, I think in the UK as well, where I think vaccine rates were down from more than 95% down to about 95%.
Wait. They went from more than 95% to 95%.
Yeah. I don't know the exact number. I don't know the exact number. I just know it went down to something like that.
I think if it goes below 95, then you can
That's when you get
see an
problems,
outbreak.
yeah.
There's actually been an increase in like measles deaths and shit like that, which is insane.
No, I think shit like polio, which just didn't exist, and then it came back.
There was an outbreak thing in New York. Was it tuberculosis? No, it wasn't tuberculosis. It might have been measles.
Oh yeah, it might have been.
It was me. Oh yeah, we've been
mumps outbreak this year. You
in
had
Leeds.
I had mumps, yeah.
He had mumps this year.
Yeah, he had mumps.
Pretty rude, yeah. He had mumps, yeah. I avoid getting mumps. If I got mumps, right. No. The weird thing is, right, I've never had a vaccine. It's not because I'm anti-vax.
No, your dad was.
It's because my dad was anti-vax, right? So, no, I've never had a vaccine, okay? It's pretty bad. I'm going to get them. Trust us, I'm not, right? I will. I'm going to get the MMR. But I've never had a vaccine. I'm not scared of these or anything. I think I've had one. Mm-hmm. I had one in school. Might have been meningitis.
No, that's the one you haven't had.
I don't know which one I've had.
You haven't had meningitis, I know that.
I've had one of them, okay. And I was really concerned, because if you haven't been vaccinated against mumps, and you get mumps, you get mumps really, really, really bad.
And you can go infertile.
You can go infertile, you can die in some cases. You can get encephalitis of the brain, shit like that. Yeah. And whereas, he had mumps, and I've fucking... Who else got mumps?
Kale
got mumps. I never got mumps.
I've never been
vaccinated.
Which is probably because you were around me when I had mumps.
Exactly. I mean, the vaccine's made up.
You shared food?
Yeah, no, I stayed at your guys' flat when I had mumps.
Yeah.
And neither of you got it. But then...
Somehow.
Yeah. But obviously, I think if you're vaccinated...
I am vaccinated, to be fair.
Yeah. But you weren't.
No, I wasn't vaccinated, so I don't know how I didn't get mumps.
I think, obviously, I'm lucky that I was vaccinated, because if you are vaccinated, you get a much milder form of the disease, usually, if you actually contract it.
Yeah.
But, obviously, if I hadn't been, I'd probably be infertile now, which would be pretty cringe,
it can just fuck your bowels up, basically.
Yeah. They kind of, like, blow off, like, explode.
They just go... and it's all sorts of fucked up. Yeah, but the anti-vax movement is definitely a disturbing element of 2020, and I'm sure that'll carry into 2021 and beyond, and especially when this vaccine gets... properly rolled out. Oxford vaccine's been approved yesterday, I think, or today. So when that starts getting rolled out, you're going to start seeing a lot of kickback against it. And if 95% of the population doesn't get it, it's 2 doses, then realistically, COVID isn't going to go away. Or COVID isn't going to calm down.
Yep. So and it's like everyone wants this to just be fucking over. So we have a lot of influence. Just take the vaccine. We'll get it on live TV.
Yeah. Everyone who's listening to this will listen to it and
watch it as well.
Yeah, watch it, right? And they might take the vaccine, and if you're anti-vax, just fucking take it, man. People just want to get back.
Just pretend it's like
it's not microchipped. Trust me, it's just
it is.
You're not paranoid, right? I mean,
just because you're paranoid,
because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. Okay, that's all I'm saying, right? My most disturbing story was the Nova Scotia shooting on April 17th in Canada. 22 people were killed in a horrible mass shooting again. Probably one of the only ones of 2020. I don't remember many other mass shootings in the West that occurred.
Yeah.
There's a couple of stabbings.
There was a sword stabbing.
That was also in Canada.
Yeah, that was right. But the Nova Scotia shooting was probably the most horrific one of them all this year. There wasn't many terrorist attacks in the West. Which is a positive, I suppose, of lockdowns. If you can spin it as that, probably a bit stringent to spin it as that. But the one in Canada did happen in a lockdown, and the guy rampage killed 22 people, and
it's pretty fucked.
It's pretty horrible.
Well, I think one interesting thing. It's going to sound bad because my side I'm trying to track away from how bad it is. Obviously, it's fucking horrible, but it's kind of weird to think that in the West, like a really bad terrorist attack is like more than 10 people dead. Like a fucking horrible ones, like the Manchester one, where it was like 22. 22, yeah. But in Ethiopia, a few days ago, there was
21 actually.
21.
21. Let's not include the terrorist who died this school.
No, yeah. So, in Ethiopia, I think they had a terror attack, or it was just some kind of a bunch of gunmen went into a village and opened fire, and it was something like 100 and odd, I think, were either killed or injured, which is just like insane. Yeah. It's weird to think that.
Our standard of terrorist attack is fairly.
I mean, for us, like one person dying can be like, oh, it's a
for example, the Finsbury one,
or Lee Rigby.
Lee Rigby, it was a major, and they're horrible events within themselves. Yeah. The Lee Rigby was disgusting, but that was the thing that kind of came out of certain things we're going to bring up later. But we'll move on to our forgotten stories. These are stories that, because a lot of shit did happen in 2020. It's not just... I think when people look back on the year, everyone always says, a lot of shit happened this year. Yeah. And it's like, this year, it actually applies. Yeah. A lot of shit occurred, a lot of shit packed in. And there were some just stories that were forgotten about entirely.
This might have been the first, genuinely world-changing, really world-changing year since, maybe 9/11.
Yeah.
2001. Yeah. So, which is pretty cool.
But it's world-changing in multiple layers. So Biden winning, COVID, BLM. 9/11 was just a single event in 2001. That changed the entire world. A lot of things have occurred that could change the next decade. It could change up to 2030. It could change. I don't know when the next period of history is going to come in. We've entered a new period of history. The 9/11 period is gone. We're entering the COVID era, the BLM era.
Just realised I probably sound like fucking idiot there. I forgot the 2008 crash. That was the last world-changing event.
Yes, actually, yeah.
But anyway, moving on. My forgotten story that I think is quite interesting or important. It's probably there were 2 wars this year. Well, there are probably more than 2, but there were 2 new wars this year. One in Ethiopia and one in the Caucasus between Armenia and my favourite country, Azerbaijan.
You're an Azerbaijani nationalist, aren't you?
Yeah, well, if you remember...
I went out in the street when they weren't fighting back, and I went out and said, "You must fight." I'm protesting, so you
demanded
fight.
to go to war.
I demanded to go to war.
Well, I was really sad when the Azerbaijani character in GTA 5. That's real.
Wait, the guy Simeon.
No, he's not Azerbaijan. It's just a guy. When you have the sniper and you have to look. It's like a little house party thing, and you have to pick out a guy and kill him.
Okay.
And
he died.
Like Trevor Michael or something says he's like Azerbaijani or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he says it in the next.
And Franklin says what the fuck does an Azerbaijani look like?
Oh no! Yeah, but
anyway, it's really.
That's true though. What does an Azerbaijani look like?
Yeah, don't know.
It's he looks Azerbaijani.
Yeah, but for all I know, I look Azerbaijani.
Yeah.
Look right now.
What? It just looks good.
They all Azerbaijani.
Do you have any?
I don't know. I imagine they look kind of Middle Eastern.
Slightly Middle Eastern Asian.
Yeah. Well, Armenians are kind of Middle Eastern and white at the same time.
No, they don't. They look like a little bit kind of Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
All right.
Yeah. They're not.
I mean, this was really tragic.
This was really tragic. Yeah.
I think with the Armenia-Azerbaijan war, it's over a little strip of land called Nagorno-Karabakh, which belongs to Azerbaijan legally, but it's been controlled by Armenian separatists since the 90s. And it's a sad story because a few thousand people died over the course of the war, and we don't know exactly how many yet because it's hard to figure out when people died during
wars. It's always hard to quantify the deaths in war.
But it just got forgotten about. But it was very tragic. There was a lot of anticipated ethnic cleansing, and a lot of because Azerbaijan ended up more or less winning with some Turkish backing and some Russian mediation. And a lot of the Armenians who lived in the region just burnt their homes and left because they figured if they stayed they'd just get ethnically cleansed. So which is quite sad. And then
Armenians.
Yeah, and then
just can't get a break.
Well, yeah, they went from strength to strength this year. But then obviously, the other one was in Ethiopia. It was the Tigray crisis. It's Ethiopia is a very diverse African country. A lot of African countries are like that, but they have a lot of different ethnic groups. And it's the Tigrayans are one of them. And there was some kind of reform that the Prime Minister Abiy had been putting through. That they got
Abiy.
Like ABIY, not like putting Abbey down the road.
Abbey
they
got. Of course, it was a fucking Abbey.
Yeah?
Of course, it was an Abbey.
Oh yeah,
them Abbeys.
Yeah, you know what they're like. But they got Proto Raj about, and they basically tried to kind of not necessarily declare independence, but they took up arms and kind of try to say,
child soldiers were fighting.
Yeah,
they called everybody to the front line to defend themselves.
That was a category we should have added, was depressing things we learned this year, because I would have said 10% of all soldiers around the world are children. So,
that is a horrible statistic.
But it was quite sad. I don't know if a few hundred people died. Went by pretty quickly. It was solved in I think about a month. But everyone just forgot about it. No one. we talked in the last podcast about there are some countries that are just like not important, and I think the way we phrased it sounded probably worse than it should have, really, because we don't mean they're just not important as in the people there like unpeople.
It's just
who don't
internationally.
matter. Yeah, they're just like
politics.
Yeah. They realistically, no one cares about them, and it's unfortunate.
Nobody cares about Ethiopia or Azerbaijan or Armenia or like fucking Belarus.
Yeah.
Even though you should.
Yeah, you should, and you should care about
countries,
the war in Ethiopia, but no one did.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people died, and most of the world just going to move on as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
So.
And it will never be brought up again. Until the next time there's another civil war there.
Yeah.
Yep, that was a big, disturbing forgotten story.
Mm-hmm.
What was your forgotten story, Scarlett?
Well, it's quite ironic, right? Because I actually forgot to write down my forgotten story, and then I forgot it. But I've just thought of it. But I've thought of a couple more, so it's fine. Right. So there's a couple of minor ones. I'm trying to pick the best one to do. I'll say the bushfires. So yeah, the bush. There's not really much you can say about it, but there was
the bush. The gash fire.
Yeah. Did you say the gash faddy?
No, the gash fires.
No,
the fucking the clunge freeze. The crazy bad as well.
Well, that was like the Afghanis really didn't like it.
Yeah, they didn't like that. The bushfires
there was West Coast fires. There was the bushfires in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was the Ganj fires.
The ganja fires. Yeah. That happened in Jamaica. The ganja fires.
I'm trying to remember how many animals died. Yeah, 3 billion animals died this year just in the bushfires.
3 billion.
Yeah.
3 billion.
Oh,
that's a lot of animals.
That's pretty horrible. A lot of koalas because they're fucking idiots and they literally live in highly flammable trees for some fucking reason in a climate where they set fire very often. Yeah, eucalyptus trees. I have a love-hate relationship with koalas,
Yeah, no, koalas are
no,
like
because
nice
they're
little
so
thing,
cute, but like they're so fucking strict. Like eucalyptus trees have absolutely no nutritional value.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's the only thing they can eat because it's just how fucking stupid is that?
Yeah.
No, but anyways, that was actually this year. One more I thought of as well. There was Caroline Flack died. She killed herself.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's Caroline Flack again?
She was
Love Island.
Co-creator. She was
commentator.
like host.
What's it called?
Host of Love Island.
Yeah, she
would like go in and vote out.
She died this year.
So I think there's a pretty long list of suicides from Love Island, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
three
quite
now.
a few.
Three.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, her death is actually really important for British television. Americans wouldn't care about this, but it's the third person who's died who has been on a reality TV show. Yeah. It's quite important to the media as well.
Because they did hound her.
The way they treated her was horrendous. They constantly said she abused her boyfriend.
Yeah, there was a story about her throwing a vase at her boyfriend or something, something like that. I forgot exactly what it was. Yeah, and they just kept going. They kept talking about it. They were going through something, and her boyfriend had said something as well. I forgot what it was, but he basically said like, I think he might have said it was bad on both sides. Or I actually don't hold us that one because that might not be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. What the fuck?
I just turned the light off and it's really dark.
Why?
No, just because.
No, knew it.
Fucking hell! Fucking pitch black outside. I thought it might be light in here, No, but that was. But it doesn't really look like they've changed much, to be honest. They're still hounding people.
They're still the same way. Well, with Johnny Depp, they've done the exact same.
Oh, horribly, yeah. Oh yeah, that was this year. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Yeah, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp was this year. My forgotten story of 2020 was spooky. It was Aliens.
Nanny Lynn. Oh.
Yeah, Nanny Lynn production. No, it was Aliens. And in April 2020, this is truly forgotten at this point. I mean, your stories I still kind of remember. There's still major stories this year. This one has just been forgotten, and it shouldn't be forgotten. The CIA might have been, or was it the department in the US government?
The Pentagon? Or the DOD?
The Pentagon, the Pentagon released documents and a video of US
Air Force
pilots reacting to an unidentifiable flying object
that
was moving really, really weird. It was genuinely bizarre how it moved, and these hardened veterans of the air.
These fucking air nonsense.
Yeah, they're obsessed with air. I mean, they're all obsessed with pylons.
Pylons?
I cannot speak.
Pylons.
No, right, no, they were obsessed with this UFO. In the video, they're like, what the fuck is this? You think they'd be able to identify fairly easy quickly. They couldn't. It was flying bizarrely. It was flying in such a weird...
Oh, like zipping about?
Yeah,
like
zipping about too fast.
Wasn't it over the top of the water or something?
Yeah.
Like gliding over the water.
Yeah, which is really weird. And a lot of people reacted to it on the day.
Well, it had already... No, the video had already been leaked by private companies, just that they declassified it and said, yeah, that actually is real.
I think
that's a UFO.
The video is from, like
it's
a
from
while
quite
ago.
a while ago.
No, it's from a while ago, but the
Well,
Pentagon came out and said that it is a UFO.
Yeah, they said they had no idea what it was.
So that, you know, I don't know, is it real, is it not?
I don't know, I mean,
It's got to be a really good fake, and why would the Pentagon come out and say it is real?
And, well, it's definitely, the video isn't fake, it's just a question of what it is in the video.
Yeah.
So, it's something that we just fucking have no clue about. It's either genuinely aliens, or it's some weird piece of tech.
It'd be a bit weird if it was aliens, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It would be
It would top off the year if aliens visited us tomorrow.
They're like, this is all just a test.
Yeah, this is all just a joke.
You know, we'll let you on the EastEnders planet.
Yeah. The aliens are like, look, we've just came out down here to watch what's happening for your Bale this Christmas, right? I've heard he's better get killed.
Yeah. I've heard he's got someone left now.
What's Ken Barlow doing this Christmas, right? He's got someone left.
Ken Barlow is his brother fucking the other Barlow.
Peter Barlow?
No, not Peter Barlow. Gary Barlow.
No.
Never mind.
Gary Barlow's from Take That. Ken Barlow's from Gary. No, they're good, like, friends.
The show.
The UFO was a pretty forgotten story and a really creepy story from 2020. The US government confirming it is in fact a UFO was quite weird, but it was fairly forgot about after a few days. Nobody cared because it was just COVID left, right and centre. Speaking of COVID, our next category is COVID. Good old COVID.
Can we quickly go to commercial because I need a piss really good.
Commercial. We're going to commercial. We'll be back.
Tune in. And we're back.
Alright, no, we're back from the toilet. Varun went to the toilet for a piss. Charlotte, you made a coffee. And I had some run-ins with a couple of people that asked us for £7. I couldn't say it to £7, so that's game on for me. Right, so we're on the fifth category, which involves all of us. Doesn't involve specific stories, but it is COVID-19 and its rise. Obviously, COVID-19 originates from 2019.
Rise to power.
It's rise. Yeah, it is a rise to power in a way. Yeah, it's rise to dominance of the world in 2020. But I've got something to go off. So, what was everyone's reactions with the first case that appeared in Wuhan? It was about December. I know what my reaction was. It was quite... My reaction was very dismissive. I was like, don't have to worry about that bollocks, it's just China being China, they're just being daft over there. I kind of didn't really think anything of it. It was just like a new virus has been found in China. A couple of people are infected. It's like, whatever.
I was really anxious about it, actually. As soon as I read about it, because I just get easily anxious about stuff. And I was like, shit myself a bit. And I remember sitting in bed with you one night, and you were like, oh no, it'll be fine, man, nothing's gonna happen. It'll just be like, fucking swine flu or something. It'll be nothing. Fucking, that worked out well.
No, my predictions have been pretty stinking this year. I'm up to the stinking predictions.
See, my reaction, I was the same. I didn't care. I remember once we were at one of my friend's old flat. We were outside, and you were smoking. And we were talking about COVID, and we were saying something like, it'll be nothing. Like, whatever happens, like, it'll probably kill people, but, we'll go with it. It'll be fine. And I think I remember I joked saying, it'd be funny, because we probably sound like climate change deniers right now. And then what do you fucking know?
What do you know? I'm just using this as an ashtray. Using a Dr. Pepper cup as an ashtray, by the way. I was kind of like, be no, and then you were like, be nothing. We'll be fine.
And we were joking about, it'd be funny if we were proven wrong, and then what do you know, we were proven pretty wrong.
We are at the end of the year.
Very anxious.
And
this year's been very anxious.
At the end of the year, so it's 12 months later since we said that, basically, and we today got told we're going back into T4 lockdown. So we've got a vaccine but we're still having to put up with lockdowns.
When we were talking about like being dismissive of it, like there were so many words that like that we use obviously very commonly now that we just weren't then, like fucking lockdown is one of them. You know?
Masks.
Yeah.
I've never wore a face mask outside.
We talked this yesterday. I came over here at the start of lockdown because I'm like really edgy and I don't care about the rules. And
you're dropping off an Xbox controller.
Yeah, to drop off an Xbox controller. And for a joke, I put on a mask.
For a joke, you were dropping off the Xbox.
For a laugh, I put on a mask. Because it was like funny because it looks fucking stupid. At the time, it doesn't look stupid now, but at the time it looked pretty stupid. It looked like you were like one of the COVID idiots. And then of course now it's mask mandate. Every time you go into the corner shop, you've got to wear one. Every time you
my corner shop.
No, not your corner shop. Not like the good corner shops. But
yeah. No, so I remember my reaction to you walking in, and I was just like, "Fuck's Albert, what are you wearing a mask for, you idiot? You're going over the top, Aaron."
Well, my mum made us so.
No, my mum made us bring it when I thought
smartly. Like in hindsight, it's like, that does make sense. So you'd wear a mask. Yeah. You're not wearing a mask right now, but.
No, I think the mask thing should continue for it should be normalised for if you're ill.
Yeah.
I think in future, if you're ill, you should wear a mask, or if there's sort of flu going on or something.
I saw something about how flu's been way less common this year because everyone's wearing masks, and also because there are certain things that have happened during COVID that should probably just stay because there's no need to take them away, like having the big screens in all the shops. It's probably just a good thing to have that. The screens between obviously the customer and the service guy.
I mean, I feel like stuff like maybe it's too far to make it mandatory, but it should be normalised to do stuff like wearing a mask to go on like public transport because everybody's so kind of packed in. It's not very well ventilated.
Well, that's one of the sort of big lessons that's been learned. It's one of the good things that might actually come from it is just. Is the new normal? Some aspects of it, masks and
it is the new normal.
Just things that lessen the spread of disease, and also would hopefully, certainly if the right people get elected, then we'll be a lot more prepared for these kind of things later on
in the future. And there will be variants. There already are variants of COVID, and there will be new pandemics that will come eventually. Yeah. Of course, there will be.
And I think this came as such a surprise because for. I think most, certainly first world people, pandemics were just kind of seen as like a thing in the past. It's like, plagues there. That's like, not now a modern age.
Last pandemic we had to worry about was, we didn't have to worry about it. It was 19.
Last thing we had to worry about, we didn't have to worry about.
1918, the Spanish flu. Well, to be fair, there have been some pandemics we had to worry about, like the original SARS.
Swine flu was
but nobody cared.
Nobody
wore masks for swine flu.
And I mean, like, it'd become kind of a joke whenever people started thinking that, like, this is going to be the next pandemic. It was always kind of like just fucking done. Like, every year there's like some kind of seasonal flu outbreak, and it's always like, oh shit, this might kill the world. Or if you remember the Ebola outbreak in Africa, and it was like, shit, Ebola's going to wipe out the USA.
Yeah, but
and obviously that went nowhere.
One person died.
And then this time was for real.
This time was the real one. Yeah, we'll get onto it.
This is a gentle one, though. I feel like it's easing us in for a horrible one.
Yeah, maybe getting us prepared, and then we're gonna be hit by like Ebola coronavirus. It's just gonna kill off the planet. This was a pretty watershed moment covered. Changed the course of history. And to get onto our reactions, though, we've showed. The first cases we were like very dismissive, and then it started building up a bit. Mid-January, it started really hitting China quite hard. Hundreds of cases reported a day. There's some deaths being reported now. There was some disturbing clips that came out of China of people in like full-bodied sort of hazmat suits.
Yeah, bodies being
put in like trucks, like cold trucks, because there wasn't enough space.
I think even then it was like. I remember kind of thinking like, well, that's just China. They're just going overboard, because obviously they're very authoritarian. They're going to like crack down. Plus, they'd had like the SARS outbreak that was, I think, only really in China. The SARS outbreak. It's like, oh well, that's their problem, But then,
not our problem, But
quite.
And then you got mid-January. You obviously start spreading China. You maybe still thinking of that, but it's just China. But then it got Italy first in Europe. It hit Italy really hard. And I started realising maybe mid-February that this is not going to go away, and it is actually way worse than initially thought. When it started killing like 200 plus people a day in Italy near the end of February, and you were thinking, right, this is actually going to destroy us. This is horrible. You do not, at this point, initially when you probably read the first quote, you're like, I'm not really bothered for Catch a Comet. It doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
And then when it started really showing you the clips of doctors dying in Italy, like doctors started dying in Italy. Yeah. There was like there was one in March before our lockdown, our first national lockdown in Italy, where there was just a care home that was left, and there was just bodies everywhere, multiple people dead. There was like 20 people in their beds dead. Yeah. And you start seeing them clips, and it started really making you uncomfortable.
Even then, that was when you started to worry. But I don't think anyone could have really. I definitely didn't predict how long it would last. Like I remember thinking that this would be over before the end of the year. I remember thinking in the first lockdown that it would be, like a couple months, maybe 2 or 3 months, get into like June, July, and then after that, it'll be all right. We'll come out the other side.
Yeah, we'll come out, but we haven't. Yeah. If there wasn't the vaccine, we could have been putting up for lockdowns for a couple more years, really. Yeah. I mean, probably till 2023. Without the vaccine, and thankfully we have the vaccines now. I'm a sheeple, to be fair. I love the vaccine.
Also, the scale of the deaths as well has just been fucking way
they've been
more
astronomical. So then it came to Britain. The first cases started in Britain about February, but we were still. Well, I think January was the first recorded one, but they started kicking them in February, and it was still like, oh, maybe though we won't be hard hit, because it seemed like we were all right, and then as it approached March 23rd, which is when the lockdown was put in place, you started seeing hundreds of deaths recorded a day, thousands of cases, and you're realising, this is going to ruin the country. This is going to ruin the economy. This is going to set us back so far. And that, on top of Brexit, seemed like a genuine recipe for just utter destruction of our country. We still haven't really came out of it. We still don't know the true effect of it. Even now.
Well, we're still not in the recovery. Like COVID still isn't over. It's going to be.
We're not in the recovery process at all.
Yeah, still. We're going back in lockdown. So.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I imagine they're going to announce a national lockdown 3.0.
I mean, it's even half the country is in a full lockdown.
Yeah, we're in T4, for example. Yeah. We're following it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
This is the support bubble.
Yeah, this is supportable.
This is like EunoiaCast is quite important to all our mental health.
Yeah, exactly, and to the viewers' mental health. I love it. So, I remember March 22nd. We were coming back home from the caravan. Your mum's caravan in Durham. Just past Crook.
Bus was empty.
The bus was empty. Nobody on. Wasn't mandated to wear masks then, but there was an empty bus. It was quite disturbing. The whole way back, it was just us two. There was like one other person on it. We get back to Park Lane Interchange in Sunderland, right? And I see, due to COVID-19, scheduling may be interrupted. And then that moment was like, oh, fucking hell. So the buses are fucked. Transportation's fucked. We've got warnings on the street telling us, watch out for this, like, be careful. You're being told, be careful. And then we get back, it's about 8 p.m, Boris comes on, good old Johnson, fucking moron. He comes on and says, I am putting the country into full lockdown. No central shops will be open. You will not be allowed to basically go and exercise for more than 1 hour a day. You can't leave your home for more than a 2-mile radius. You can't travel to other cities. Everything's gone. McDonald's, all the big corporations took a heavy hit initially. Amazon, fucking amazing for the worst. But McDonald's was shut down, Subway was shut down. All the fast food chains that you've got used to just eating from regularly and ordering in are gone. You've just got takeaways and Asda, right? In Tesco.
Not even Lidl.
Yeah, you don't even have Lidl. Right? No, Lidl wasn't.
I think the moment for me, this is kind of tough, I guess, for Rod now, is the moment where you sort of realise how bad it was. For me, it was probably after because I remember just before lockdown, I was in Leeds with yous, and then we came back with in someone's car.
Yeah. I do remember this.
But no, not that story. That is a funny story. But, I just remember, like, a few days after, once we were properly in the lockdown, I'd been put on furlough. I think it's quite interesting. I actually experienced this huge government policy being on furlough. But then there's this place near where I live in Sunderland where I like go take walks whenever it's nice weather near these woods that you know I like. Next to these woods is there's a bridge over a motorway, and I remember just walking over this bridge, and I like look left, look right.
Did you?
Yeah.
Huh? You look left, you look right. And then to left, me jokes to the right.
But then and the motorway was just completely empty, and this was on a weekday. and this was at like not like
midday.
rush hour, but midday.
Like 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
it should be packed then.
It should be packed, and there wasn't a single car there. I took a picture of it on my old phone, but it's gone now.
Oh.
But that was just quite the same. I was like, fucking hell, this is fucking real, Like I'm saying it.
Yeah, but walking out and seeing the empty streets, because we live right next to like a high street in a little area in Sunderland. It's a poor area, but it's got a high street, and it was just empty. Every shop except from like Pizza Uno,
and Italian florists,
for Dixie Chicken, and Italian florists. They weren't even open. They were closed. The Premier shop was open, HJ was open, and then everything else shut down.
Well, there was the toilet roll crisis.
Well, yeah, that's another thing actually. Remember, we were about March 15th.
No,
Early?
no, because that's when we were in Edinburgh.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Well, actually,
yeah, no, that's
when
what
we were
I
in
mean.
Edinburgh, and we went in the Sainsbury's, and the shelves were literally just empty.
Yeah.
No, apart from like Watsits or something, they were left behind.
Yeah, we were in Edinburgh. There was no like social distancing going on. There was no masks going on. We spoke to a taxi driver who was like, "Yeah, I've got wipes ready, just because you should put them on your hands." I think you have to wash your hands before you go in certain areas.
Yeah,
maybe.
Stuff like that.
But that was it. We went into Sainsbury's right next to the hotel, and going in there was just like there was fucking. You just mentioned Watsits were raided. Okay, people
very nutritional.
Yeah, no. People are sitting there, right? This is fucking very annoying about the stockpile. People are sitting there thinking, right, the next pandemic is coming. We're going to be in our homes for ages. Society's about to fall, so let's stockpile Watsits and chicken. Why would you stockpile chicken? It's going to go off.
No, but not. Right, this is very important. Not the drumsticks.
Yeah,
they have no nutritional value.
Everyone left the drumsticks. Like fuck that,
wings.
I'm not having the drumsticks, but I'll have the chicken breast.
I think we're gonna die, and I think I'm gonna have to stockpile food, but not anything but drumsticks and wings.
And like ready meals that I saw in Aldi, none of them gone. But there was crisps raided and chocolate raided, and obviously chicken was raided. There was no chicken for like ages. In Aldi, there was virtually no chicken.
Didn't have any chicken for a while.
Because I was walking around Aldi. I found it really annoying
rump steaks were left behind as well.
Yeah, the rump steaks. You can't have the rump. It's the worst part of a cow, right? Walking around Aldi and just walking around and seeing their fucking trolleys, and they've just got fucking 14 bags of pasta. There was a genuine person who had about 8 packs of chicken breast.
Yeah.
10
I saw
chicken
somebody who had about 5 or 6 bottles of olive oil.
Yeah.
Just in case you need a drink. Just in case we're running out of water and you need something to drink, just gotta have that olive oil.
I get you making your olive oil. You're cooking it. You need your olive oil.
You're making your olive oil,
But you're frying your olive oil. You need a lot of it. You don't need fucking 6 bottles.
No.
And obviously then the shops that are put in place, you can only buy 5 items per single thing, so you can only buy 5 packs of chicken instead of 20. That's some people going ridiculous on. And then there's a toilet roll crisis. I don't think we did we receive the toilet roll crisis? Do we go into that?
Because our local shop sold like this really horrible quality toilet roll that
89p for 4 rolls.
Nobody would touch that, so we're fine.
It's Happy Shop the toilet roll, man. That's the best.
No, not this one. It was not in Leeds. You know the one where it's like with the pink one.
Oh yeah,
nobody would buy that.
Yeah, it's a bit rough on the hind, on the behind line. No, yeah, the whole shop round the corner, because we live in Leeds usually. Yeah, no, we live in Leeds, but we went back to Sunderland for lockdown to stay with the family, and going around the shop. Every time I'd go around the shop, the guy would change the prices of the toilet roll. He started selling the rolls individually for a quid each. It's like, fuck me,
we started,
evil bastard.
We started cutting things of kitchen roll in half to use on his
toilet. Yeah, I'd done that a few times, using kitchen roll as toilet paper. It was like the closest, I think, hopefully the closest any of us will ever come to seeing what an apocalypse is like, the intro of the apocalypse.
Hopefully, that's the closest.
Or we're just getting eased in for it. And it's coming soon. You never know. 2021. The COVID shit was pretty funny. But there's a story. Here's one story from lockdown, just pre-lockdown, March 22nd. We were driving home with a friend, a good friend of the show, right? And obviously on March 22nd, nightclubs were still open. And this specific friend loves the nightclub Independent, which is a
really
shit
cool
nightclub. It's awful.
Yeah.
Just plays the same Kanye West song over and over again. Right, we're driving back, we're having a jolly good time. We get in McDonald's. We're like, we'll get some food in McDonald's. And we start saying, Rishi, you know this disease is really dangerous and nightclubs are perfect for spreading it.
And he goes and sees his nana all the time.
He goes, who's vulnerable. Yeah. And we go, Rishi, don't... Ryan...
Bitchy.
Mitch. Right, Richard, don't go. Richard, don't go to the nightclub. And I'm pretty sure you said, Richard, if you go to the nightclub, you might kill your nana. And went, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to the nightclub. And then it was a very much like, way moment when we were listening to the news and it said, Boris Johnson's now shut down nightclub, like the government shut down the nightclubs.
None of them were open on that night.
Yeah, they're a close of immediate effect. Just found it so funny. He's like,
He just looked defeated.
Yeah, no, you were going to fucking risk people's safety.
Well, I mean, all he actually does when he goes to the nightclub is he sits in the booths on his fucking phone, so I don't even get why.
I feel like that's the nightclub experience for most people.
Good thing he's never going to listen to this podcast like that for an hour.
So. Yeah, it's all good.
No, sitting in the booth just on the phone. I think everyone does that. And
liking
really
girls'
annoying.
pictures on Instagram, but not the ones with the boyfriends in.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a bit unfair.
Nah, it's true.
I won't keep that in.
He's not going to listen.
Yeah, he's not going to listen. He might flick to this specific moment.
I've already said it.
He's our friend anyways.
Yeah, he's
a good friend.
We told him this.
Yeah, no, we've said to him.
We're not being sad.
No, we're not being sad.
I gave him a cup of tea the other day. He'll live.
He probably wouldn't want to kill his nana. Right?
Yeah. Hopefully not.
But he did say he would.
He did say he would if he could go to the nightclub. Right, that was COVID in 2020.
Yeah.
And then obviously to round this little segment off, I mean, we're now at 1.8 million deaths, 83 million cases worldwide. Yeah. And hope for the future we've got a vaccine.
Was that like 20% of them are in the US?
Yeah.
300,000?
No, about 1/6.
1/6. Yeah.
We'll give them that.
Yeah. Which is
3 World War Ones.
Yeah, 3 World War
for
Ones.
them.
Over 100 9/11s.
Mm-hmm.
Not best, but
not the best.
One defense I heard from a family member was that, like Trump, he didn't have control over, It was states it was their fault.
It was their fault. But Trump instructed the states to not do anything about it.
Well, the only power he had was the power to persuade. So
he was a lame duck president. All right, that was COVID. There was another event. This is the next category in lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That hit people hard. Some of the deaths occurred before lockdown, but this was the BLM riot protests and demonstrations after George Floyd's killing. But it was obviously building up. It was years of build up. Years of build up is reality from police brutality.
Floyd's death was just a perfect sort of symbol of literally centuries of the treatment of black people in the US. And it was. I think it was one where even some right-wingers had to admit, alright, this was pretty bad.
Yeah, this one's deplorable.
Whereas
actually, to be fair, though, they did do that for the first week.
Yeah.
And then they started saying,
Actually,
I think I take that back. Like Brett Weinstein, the fucking slimy little cunt. He's a fucking cunt, honestly. He came on the Joe Rogan podcast saying about George Floyd, well, look, we don't know if it was actually murder because the courts haven't decided yet. Yeah, courts, the arbiters of truth, 98% of rape cases are found non-guilty, but...
No, 99%.
99%. That's in the UK, I don't know what the fuck it is in the US. Can we fucking 100%?
110%.
Yeah, the George Floyd killing, I think it was May. Horrible video.
I want to say 25th of May?
Yeah, maybe.
But it was, that
was a pretty rough one.
I think we've all seen the video.
I've seen the video.
I've all seen
the video. Yeah, it's just the murder, and it is a murder. It's first degree murder. It's a horrific murder, and the way in which he does it, it seems purposeful. And no the police officer around him is
just
doing
the malice is so clear when you can listen to a man who you've arrested for fuck all, for using a counterfeit $20 bill.
That's not even confirmed.
Yeah, it's not even confirmed, and even if he did, it's like, you don't have to be fucking murdered for that. But listening to a man who you've arrested for that, who isn't even resisting arrest, and then hearing him cry out for his mother and scream that he can't breathe, and then just not caring.
Well, Chauvin used to work in a nightclub as a security guard, and so did George Floyd. He was also a security guard in the same nightclub at the same time. and the owner of the club said that Chauvin used to be particularly aggressive towards black people at like fighting or anything outside. Like he'd immediately start pepper spraying them instead of actually breaking up a fight.
Oh, right. But not,
like that.
But not white patrons.
No.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the death video, he's crying for his mum, he's crying for just some leeway, just anything to get him off his neck, and he basically refuses. He's looking up. I mean, I saw the video, you saw the clip where he looks up at the person who's filming him, and he's just like, look what he's doing. It's like, and then the defense of it, Derek Chauvin that came out afterwards was like, oh well, George Floyd was on fentanyl. It was like, well, that's not confirmed. He had fentanyl in his system, which lasts in your system for a long time. I think it's over a couple of months, maybe. And there was another idea that he had, what else? Meth?
Yeah, it was meth.
Meth in his system. It was like, alright, okay. So if you take meth, you need to be killed. In 8 minutes and 42 seconds, you need to be strangled out. Life escaping your body as you powerlessly can't do anything.
No. Let's just for the sake of, just for the sake of it. I don't know where I was going with that. Say that he did die because he had fentanyl or meth or whatever in his system, right? If somebody is screaming out that they can't breathe, do you not think you'd maybe take your fucking knee off
and
the
get
neck
them to the ambulance
and maybe try and give them a hand instead of if they're saying they can't breathe, even if it's unrelated to your fucking knee pressing down on their throat, the one that you breathe from, wouldn't you take it off?
Yeah.
And restrain. He was already restrained on the ground. He was somebody was already on his back, and he was on his neck. There wasn't any need for it.
Man. Yeah. Do you understand? The police are just trying to protect society.
They were just protecting all those victims of that forged $20 note.
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah. £20 note. Yeah, he's trying to use a £20 note. No. In a couple of weeks, probably the next podcast we will actually do one just dedicated to the police, because us three as people, I don't really like the police. I fucking despise the cunts. I have a lot of hatred in my heart for them. But I
think you're the only one who has a lot of personal experience.
I have a lot of personal experience.
I think.
With them,
I mean,
I have a little bit, but not in the same way.
Well, I mean, I have a tiny bit of experience, but I think even if I was, well, I should say this to the podcast, but I'll just say even if I was pro-police in general, and I wasn't anti-police in my political views, I think I would still sympathise with why you're anti-police.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously some people struggle with that, but you can sympathise with it. I'm not going to get into it. We'll get into it in another podcast. But the Derek Chauvin incident was horrible, and then obviously you've got Breonna Taylor, and just before George Floyd, you've got Ahmaud Arbery in February when he was lynched. Yeah. Then another clip came out of when the police put the bag on top of that guy's head, which is a lynching again.
He died.
Monday lynching. Yeah. The Ahmaud Arbery one was just disturbing because they chased him down. He was just a jogger. They chased him down. That's been disputed. But they're disputed by conservatives who obviously have a bias.
There was another one recently. There was a guy who I think it was this year. I think it was quite recent. It was after George Floyd and all that. He went out to Subway to buy sandwiches for his family, and he did have a gun on him, but he had a license to carry a gun on him. I don't know if it was concealed carry or open carry or whatever. And he was walking back to the police him driving from Subway. He was walking back to his house. And as he was getting into his house, I'm pretty sure the police shot him on his porch.
Oh, right.
It's just like, someone used a good video called Why Good Guys with Guns Can Never Be Black. And it's true. It's like, white people have a right to bear arms in the US. Black people really don't. In terms of, if you want to fully exercise your right, if you're in, Texas or any state that has, open carry or concealed carry, you can't do that if you're black. You can't even, fucking, you'll get shot even if you don't have one. Especially get shot if you fucking have one. It's pretty despicable.
Yeah, the Breonna Taylor one, conservatives like Stephen Crowder started mocking that. I remember Breonna Taylor was murdered in an obviously horrific way. She was shot through a door. Bullet hair. They didn't call the ambulance for 20 minutes. They actually told the ambulance to go away. So if the police are raiding a house, it's common protocol.
Which isn't normal,
it's common protocol to have an ambulance on standby just in case somebody's shot, whether it's a police officer or the person's house you're raiding. Either way, you've still got to get the medical attention. They told her to go away. They didn't call it when she was shot.
8 times.
No, I think she was only shot once, but they shot 8 shots into her house. The only criminal prosecution against the officer was that he shot a wall because it was public property damage.
Oh, God.
Yeah, absolutely fucking deplorable.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just...
and then there was the plea deal as well.
Yeah, exactly.
If you saw that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
Well, the boy, our boyfriend who was there at the time, who shot back at them because they didn't identify themselves. They gave him a plea deal where if he admitted that his girlfriend was involved in drugs, they would give him like a suspended sentence or something like that. But if he didn't admit that she was involved in drugs, it would be given 10 years. And props to him because he didn't say anything about it. He said, "No, I'm not doing that." He rejected it. So I think
the case is still ongoing as well. No, the case is still ongoing. So
you'll
probably on
get
remand.
quite a while.
But that killing was, I mean, probably on the same level as the George Floyd one. I know the George Floyd one carries a lot of weight.
Yeah,
carries a lot of oomph to it.
Yeah, George Floyd had a lot of symbolic weight.
But there was a video.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of stuff that was just sort of I don't know, could be used in protests. Like the "I Can't Breathe" became the slogan, and it's such a, I don't know, it really encapsulates the situation that black people are in the US.
No, the thing is that was always a slogan. That was always a slogan used by black men who were being killed by the police. Yeah. I'm fairly sure in the one that kicked off the Ferguson riots, he said he can't breathe. A couple of them have. Yeah. The killings this year were deplorable. And it all did culminate, the riots, culminated in the riots, which, whether you see them justified or not, you can sympathise with the idea behind them and the purpose behind them. I sympathise with the riots personally.
I can't... There are parts of the riots, obviously, we talked about last podcast, that we disagree with, rating... there are
specifically small property.
Yeah,
I mean small business.
Yeah,
owned by black people especially, you shouldn't do that.
Like black housing estates, I think, definitely not good. But,
do not harm them.
I can't blame anyone who ended up going out and fucking raiding shit.
I'm fully in favour of, like, just... I'm not going to say that, but I'm fully in favour of you just raiding a police station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just destroying
completely
it.
non-violently.
No, I don't care. Violence is completely justified sometimes, and in that case, it was justified more than ever, especially with the piling deaths that were coming out week on week, month on month, of these black people being murdered in cold blood. It's time to get a little bit of payback for them. And I feel the exact same way here. Even as a white person, growing up in a poor community, having bad experience with the police, payback should be given to them, whether that be through violence or through legislative means. Either one.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, one of the big slogans with BLM in the UK was "The UK is not innocent," which is absolutely true. You might remember Mark Duggan. Yeah. He was a black man shot by the police for doing nothing.
The Stephen Lawrence case as well.
Stephen Lawrence,
which was just police neglect more than it was a direct. Obviously, the police didn't kill him, but it was just the police neglected the case and really didn't care about it. Basically, wrote it off as like, he deserved his black man, so he was probably being a violent criminal. Assumptions, The Mark Duggan one was obviously big watershed moment in the UK, led to the London riots, and I don't think we had any police brutality cases against minorities this year, but they are still stopped and searched at a rate of, what was it, 19
times higher in London.
Yeah, exactly, because they might have knives on them,
because they're black.
Yeah, because they're black, and it's like, you almost got to think, the more you alienate them as a police force, maybe the more likely they are to fall into crime and be against you and actually enact violence against you and try to undermine the state in every respect. But we'll not get into that. The BLM was a sad moment. It was uplifting yet also really depressing.
Yeah, it was uplifting to see just how many people actually cared.
The whole world cared.
Yeah, even Japan. Yeah, because all too often these things happen and no one cares. There had been a few like big cases in the past, like George Zimmerman, not George Trayvon. I mean the George Zimmerman case.
Yeah, Trayvon.
And stuff like that. But most of the time when black people get killed by the police, which happens every year, several times, people just don't care. But I think with this one, it was just so bad that it couldn't be ignored. And thankfully, I think the general. I haven't looked at polling data for this, so this might be completely up. I think the general sense that I got was that most people, I think, agreed that racism is actually a problem now. So, which is a good thing.
I've been kicked back though. In sport this year. Moving on, actually, segueing into the next topic. Biggest sports story. But this is quite an important one related to BLM. I'm going to do two for this one, but this is the first one. There's a Millwall game against Cardiff last month, in which the players, it became common procedure for the players to take a knee at the start of each game, and it's just a good sign of like solidarity with your fans who might be black or minority, and with your players who might be black or minority. A lot of them, a lot. It's like 40% of footballers in the UK are minorities, and they took the knee, and a bunch of racist, idiotic, I mean, commonly hated, must say, Millwall fans booed. All of them. There's 2,000 let in because they were on Tier 2 restriction. They all booed. They all, defended it. I saw a lot of defence when I watch YouTube videos and go in the comments on Guardian articles saying like, well, they're Marxists, so they're not booing them because they're black people. They're booing it because they don't like Marxists. It's like, I'm sure these Millwall fans know the nuances of fucking Marxism. I guarantee it, right? These idiotic, violent fucking idiots, all right? And you know what? Let's flip it. Thugs, right? Common word used against black people. No, the true fucking thugs are them stupid cunt fucking bastard Millwall fans who cause bother at every fucking match they go to, right? And then
calling the white football fans the M word.
No, and they have the audacity to boo it, and thankfully a lot of them are banned, and they deserve it.
Yeah,
you do not get a second chance when you do that. You do not get a second chance when you do monkey chance, which their fan base have done before. Scum of the earth, right?
It's a shame on this country in general, and the irony of saying that we're the least racist country in Europe, and then we are so well known for going to other countries in Europe during the World Cup and being horribly racist.
Oh yeah,
there was I saw a video. I think this might have been when was the last time there was a World Cup in France? Or like a big... When was last time, like
Euros 2016.
Yeah, a big football thing in France.
Yeah, 2016.
Well, I saw a video on that where it was some white people getting on basically like the metro in France. And there's a black man coming on, they all prevent him from getting on, and then started throwing... they started throwing fucking stupid, but they started chanting, we're racist,
oh
and we
like
it.
Oh my god, what a bunch of fucking drunken fools, honestly.
Fucking idiots.
Drunkards. They're all alcoholics. Anyways,
they're all
the
fucking
cunts.
thugs. Yeah. I'm gonna start calling white people who are like that boy.
Yeah.
Okay,
boy. It's like the EDL here. They're just a bunch of fucking mugs. Actually, I've been told personally they're just a bunch of fucking idiots.
This is another thing. I mean, the EDL I think is quite tied into sport, like specifically football.
Definitely. Football hooliganism is still a big problem.
Yeah. But it was in a video about Dave Rubin where I'd seen this clip with Tommy Robinson. And so we have a friend who, I don't know if he supports Tommy Robinson now, but he'll defend him a lot. He'll say he's not racist and shit like that.
Yeah.
But it was a clip of Tommy Robinson. There were two. One was, he was at an EDL rally. He was speaking, then he gave the mic to another guy. And he's still on the stage. Tommy Robinson's still on stage, next to this guy speaking at this big rally. And the guy who's just given the microphone says something along the lines of, pardon my language here, but we're going to get the black cunts out. And Tommy Robinson said nothing, did nothing, just let him continue. And the whole crowd fucking cheered because the EDL isn't racist at all.
The EDL isn't a racist organisation.
There's another one, but obviously that wasn't Tommy specifically. So maybe he has an out. Like maybe he doesn't. He was obviously responsible for that. But maybe he has an out. But then there was another one where he's talking about. It's not like an EDL. I think it's probably in London or something like that. And he's talking. He says something like. To all the Muslims watching this video, you got away with murdering British people on 7/7.
They got away.
Yeah, like all the Muslims watching this got away with it because apparently they did it. Then he also
they're all responsible because a couple of people decided to do something horrible.
And then he said something along the lines of, if it ever happens again, the Islamic community will feel the full force of the EDL.
Oh, right.
Fuck off.
Tommy said that.
Yeah, Tommy said that. That was his words.
I use this expression a lot, but I don't think a fucking wet paper bag could feel the full force
of
the EDL.
I'll tell you this personally now. I won't say any names, but I've been told by good sources what the EDL's actually like. They're a bunch of fucking pussies. Right, that's the reality. They aren't hard cases, they aren't hard men. They're just a bunch of drunkards who go to football matches on the weekend to be racist. You start fighting them, they'll shit themselves, man. There's a couple of Muppets in Sunderland who went outside a monument to protect it, the war monument, which nobody was going to desecrate anyways.
The one in next to Mulberry?
The one in Mulberry, yeah. They went outside that, stand there, big hard men.
Hands in the
I've been told by trustworthy sources, they're a bunch of Muppets who can't fight. Right? That's the reality. They're a bunch of shitty asses. One phone call and they'll start going, no, I'm sorry. We were told about somebody...
Oh, yeah.
Somebody died recently.
Dodgy tablets.
Yeah, dodgy tablets, right? And this EDL member posted on Facebook, said, good riddance, dirty cunt deserved it, right? This, that, the other.
minority?
No. But just about the EDL being fucking what they are. Somebody phoned them up and said, "What the fuck you posting that about him for? He's an alright lad." And he starts saying, "No, I didn't mean it about him. I swear to God, I'll take it down if you want." So know this. Yeah. No, know this. If they're EDL, they're fucking muppets. They're mugs. They can't fight. They're fucking idiots. Meet them with violence. Meet the EDL with violence. That's all they deserve.
No,
it's the only language they understand.
People complain that Todd Robinson got a fucking milkshake. It's like he deserves a lot worse than a fucking milkshake.
No, he deserves a fucking battering, that cunt. Yeah.
Fucking nonce as well.
No offence. Oh yeah, he is a nonce.
Todd Robinson?
Yeah, there's stuff he said about 15-year-olds on Twitter. It's
He's
weird.
a 15-year-old Muslim girl. I know you're Muslim, but would still fuck you or something like that.
15 years old.
Yeah.
And then you've got local chapters here. Yeah.
I know of another ADL one.
Which
Charlton?
In this area.
Billy Charlton?
No, not Billy Charlton, but I have met him and he's a cunt. No, he's called... Actually, no, I won't name drop, but let's just say he's a massive fucking paedophile, basically.
Alright, yeah.
He was messaging this 12-year-old girl and shit, and it was a bit wrong. But Billy Charlton as well, I've actually met him. Yeah. And he's like every bit as a fucking idiot as you imagine. He was pissed. We went to a Jeremy Corbyn rally back in like fucking 20 whatever, right?
20 whatever.
Yeah, I forgot what year it was now. And he was there and he was pissed off his fucking head. He was with his mate who had about 3 teeth. He had a can in his hand and he was shouting and screaming.
Foster's.
No,
Stella. Wife,
This woman was filming him and he hit her phone out of her hand, like smacked her arm away. And then he went to this guy, "Hey, where the fuck are you from?" And he went, "I'm from South Shields, mate." And he went, "Fuck off back to South Shields then." Like,
go back your own country.
Go back your own country. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Where you from? Farrow McDonald's?
South Shields, you know.
Come back to Farrow then. Fuck off back to your own country. Farrow. Fuck off back to your own continent.
Fuck off back to only foods and sauces then.
Basically, the other fucking Muppets. We've got a bit segued there.
Yeah, we've kind of forgot about sports.
But my other biggest sports story, don't think you aren't particular fans of football, but anybody who's listening, I'm sure Peter would agree, Liverpool winning the Premier League for the first time in 30 years. Big historic moment in English football. They have returned to it. Very big, yeah. Brilliant story for them. Very uplifting story overall. I mean, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but it was uplifting for them. Yeah, celebrating lockdown, but it was... They did go out in force on the crawl, but good on them for winning it. Happy about that. And
that'll be fun. I mean, I'm not much about football. In fact, I do one thing with sports is that I don't follow any sports. Maybe I follow MMA like a tiny bit, but I do like watching good matches of any sport. Like I will watch brilliant. Like good matches from football sometimes. Like I'll never watch football
when it's really competitive. It's it's enthralling. It's like you can't take your eyes from it. I mean, there's a game you should watch, Man United v Leeds a couple of weeks back. It was 6-2. That's a game you just enjoyed because it was just open football. Yeah. It was insane. It was a great game. And you can, even if you're not a fan of sport, you can definitely watch a game and still get like, whoa, this is fucking amazing. And even if you don't follow it after that, you can still respect it.
No, well, I got a lot of MMA fights, whether and boxing. Like I don't know a lot about boxing. Like I tried it like for a couple of weeks, but that was it. But I love watching Tyson Fury fight. Like it's just really cool to watch. Like because his style's so interesting. I like watching MMA. But we should probably, because we don't really have sports stories to talk about. Plus we're getting near the time of it. We should probably move on to our next. Topic.
Our next topic: biggest entertainment story of the year.
So this isn't fair piece of me. This is just biggest story.
Biggest entertainment story. Biggest thing to come out this year that year.
Well, as the resident gamer of the podcast, I'll talk about. I'm not much of a gamer. So. Yeah, I'll talk about Cyberpunk and more generally. Actually, no, I'm not going to talk about Cyberpunk. I'll talk about CD Projekt. So CD Projekt Red, you'll know them. They made The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
They also run an online store, kind of like Steam, but except it has it's got no DRM. It's basically, DRM's kind of how I explained. It's basically just, you don't have to have an internet connection to play their games ever, which you kind of do on Steam. And GOG, which is their store, is actually really good. I love GOG. I buy a lot of games of it. They have loads of like really obscure old games that most shops don't sell, which is just pretty cool. And they're usually pretty cheap. But a couple months ago, there was a game came out on GOG called Devotion. I think it was called Devotion. And it was made by a Taiwanese studio. And I think you can see where this is going.
Where's it going?
I think I know this one.
And CD Projekt, I assume, must have some some backing, or maybe they have like, I don't know if the Chinese market cares about like The Witcher or Cyberpunk, but for some reason, they pulled the game off the store, and then it came out later on that they'd probably been pressured by the Chinese government to do it, just because it came from Taiwan, which was pretty sad.
I think I know what this game is actually. The game. No, I think the game had a load of references to China being fucking evil. Basically, I forgot what some of them were, but I was reading them to you. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I forgot what they were now.
He embedded them in, so it wasn't blatantly obvious, but they still caught onto it eventually. Then it turns out.
Yeah. I mean, this is quite a common thing. These aren't all from 2020, but last year, a professional Hearthstone player called Blitzchung got banned for supporting Hong Kong protests. There was also a lot of games censor themselves to get sold in China. None of you played World of Warcraft before, I don't think, have you?
No.
If you play World of Warcraft, it's not like a particularly graphic game. Like, it's not like like mega violent or whatever. But and because the market for WoW is so big in China, they sell this like kind of weird censored version where like you can't have skeletons and shit like that, and there's no blood, which is very weird. So I don't know. You can't have skeletons.
Oh, that is weird. Yeah. That's actually probably weird.
It's probably weird. Yeah.
It's a weird Chinese.
And actually, one thing. I mean, this has been happening for quite a while. Alternate versions. Not even just like censored, alternate versions of Western
like
games.
FIFA.
Not like FIFA, but all the versions of Western games get sold in China that like are the same sort of general concept, but are marketed and sort of monetized very differently. So you know me, I used to really like Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Right. There's a version of Counter-Strike. I think it's called CS Live, and that's sold in China. And Counter-Strike now is free to play, but it wasn't always. It used to be a paid game, and then you could buy like skins or whatever. But CS Live is the Chinese version, and it's got a couple of differences in the gameplay, but it's mostly the same. But then it looks graphically completely different. I guess to appeal to whatever's popular in China. And then it's also monetized like fucking horribly. Like it's very pay to win. You can just buy those shit because that's what sells in China.
That's a Chinese gimmick.
Yeah.
So what was your biggest entertainment story of the year?
I don't really have one, but I played Fallout New Vegas for the first time this year.
Oh no, wait, we're doing that one afterwards. The one that influenced you most. What?
Well, I don't know. Probably, but I mean, I already said earlier, but probably just Caroline Flack dying. But it didn't really impact much.
Yeah, no, it didn't impact much. Mine was Tiger King and TikTok. Tiger King and TikTok were pretty big. TikTok really rose to prominence in lockdown as everyone started doing comedy videos and shit like that. And Tiger King was obviously probably one of the most influential documentaries to come out in the last decade, apart from like maybe Planet Earth. Was a pretty fun documentary. It's pretty junk television, but it was a fun. It was a fucking funny documentary to watch. Bunch of rednecks on tigers. Great romp. Moving on to the next one. Biggest piece of media you saw this year. Your most favoured piece of media.
For me, of course, gamer again. I'll do the game of the year. I'm actually disappointed by what my game of the year is for this year. It's Doom Eternal, right? Now, Doom Eternal is a very good game. I think I've recommended it to both of you before. But it basically just perfects the formula of the 2016 Doom, and it's great. It's very fun, But my problem with it is that it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't do anything new or interesting, and I definitely wouldn't put it in my like top games ever. That thing, it wouldn't be. It's not one of my favorite games of all time. Which I think is a shame because the past few years, especially last year, two of the best games that came out last year in my game of the year, two of my favourite games ever, and they actually kind of pushed the boundaries a bit and did something really new and interesting, which this year just didn't happen. Even the game that I hoped would be my game of the year, which was Cyberpunk, came out, and as much as I like it, it is a fucking piece of shit, which is just really sad, to be honest. It's a shame that Doom Eternal is probably the best game that came out this year, to me.
Solid?
Well, yeah, no, just what I said just now. I played Fallout New Vegas. It was really good. But, I mean, it's not really a this year game,
No, it doesn't have to be this year. It could just be a piece of media.
I just enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
We've talked about New Vegas before.
Yeah, we've already
it's brilliant. Talked about it. Mine was, I saw it in 2020. It came out in 2019. The Irishman. Scorsese's Send Off. An absolutely brilliant film. I don't think you've watched it, so I won't spoil it for anybody listening. But it was just a beautiful film. I absolutely fucking adored it. Probably one of Scorsese's best. The way it ended was just very realistic, very hard hitting, very harsh, and it was a real goodbye to cinema from Scorsese. Probably one of the best directors of all time. Probably one of the most influential of all time. So the person of the year for you.
I'll skip this one. Oh god, I forgot his name again. Joshua Wong. Was that his name?
Joshua Wong, yeah. Hong Kong.
Joshua Wong, he organised the Hong Kong protests. I don't think we've talked about this much on the podcast, but we don't like China. If I'm the Chinese...
We'll do a China podcast.
Yeah, definitely do a China podcast. Obviously, this isn't anti-Chinese people in general. Politically, China as a country is pretty fucking horrible, and the stuff they did in Hong Kong, which was the only part of China that was actually even like sorted free, because I mean, Hong Kong wasn't even a democracy before China came in, really. But obviously, with the Protestant people, young people actually spearheading, because Joshua Wong is very young. He's only like in his 20s.
Yeah, he's a student.
And then spearheading these mass, protests that were supported worldwide against a genuine threat to their freedom. I think was amazing. I think what it shows what young people need to do when it comes to political organisation is because I think there's a lot of political activity with young people happens online now. I think unfortunately a lot of it it happens on Twitter and it stays on Twitter. Which I think it's a shame. I think the Hong Kong protest shows that you should organise online, but you should actually take it in real life. Like the internet's a great tool for organising people politically, and it should be taken in real life.
Well, they should take on the idea. I really like this. The revolution will not be televised, sort of thing, because it will not be. It won't be on Twitter. It won't be on ITV when Saturday Night Table.
It won't be on CCTV.
It will be in the streets, mass protest,
and
mass.
I think obviously the Hong Kong protests probably didn't work. I mean, China's
it didn't. They solidified the control further.
Yeah. But I think even if it was doomed to fail from the start, it was still worth protesting, just as a message.
Yeah. So most important person.
The most important person, because you took the good ones and I'm the cynical person and I fucking hate everyone. But it was pretty cool when Angela Rayner called that MP scum. Forgot what he did now.
Was it Ben
Phillipson?
Was he the one who said the
Ben Bradley?
Ben Bradley said about
we mentioned that in the
that was the pilot episode.
That was the pilot episode. Yeah, mentioned that. Yeah, that was a great moment. She called him scum.
Cool.
Special shout out to Nye Bevan as well. He's not with us anymore.
He's been quite influential for this.
No, but he's a great man. I love Nye Bevan. I love old age Labour.
Yeah,
love them. My person of the year, by a country mile, is Marcus Rashford.
I would have probably said that if you had to.
Domestically, for the UK, he is actually a genuine, literal, we're really cynical, but he is genuinely a great person, an amazing force for good. I looked into where he grew up, Wythenshawe, which is still a very poor place, one of the poorest places in Europe, but since he started actually doing fundraisers and charity work, and obviously becoming the biggest person from there, they've saw a bit of an economic boom in terms of tourism, people visiting it, a bit more shops are opening, and they're improving vastly. So he's improved his home community as well as improving the nation. We mentioned it in the first podcast about the Free Skirt Mills thing, and obviously he actually turned the tide on that.
Yeah, it was great to see, because he didn't have to do it. He could have just stayed silent and no one would have cared, but he actually took on a great cause, and he a fucking footballer, genuinely changed the...
exactly,
government.
Especially when he caused small businesses to start giving out free skirt meals as a protest against government, and councils went against the government. A special shout out to Andy... I
know you mean. Yeah.
The Manchester...
Andy Burnham.
Andy Burnham. Special shout out to stand up against Boris. No, we aren't getting enough money in the north. We need fucking more, okay? Yeah. Good man Marcus Rashford. Absolutely loved his work this year. What a brilliant guy. I mean, he deserves sports personality. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton won it for some reason. Well, what are you on about? He wins it fucking every year, I feel. But no, he was genuinely a brilliant person this year. Absolutely love the guy. And on and off the pitch. On the pitch, love the guy. Yeah. Off the pitch.
Who'd you play for?
Man United. Get in. Get in. You don't support any team. But he's a great guy. So on to the more cynically minded request of most hated person this year. Who'd you fucking love?
I've been thinking about this. I said earlier it'd be Sargon with Cad. Obviously, we said really the most hated person there should be Trump, but that's too obvious and too cringe. So no. So my most hated person is actually Trump instead of Trump.
Donald Trump.
No, it'd probably be Sargon with Cad. I've had a special place in my heart for hating Sargon for pretty much this entire year, I think, because it was probably since late last year I started to realise just how much of a fucking reprehensible retard he was. Shit, I shouldn't have said that.
That's fine.
Silly person. And then this year in particular, he's went so far to the right and he's been such a I don't even think he is genuinely a fascist in his heart, but he's been such a fascist mouthpiece that I fucking just despise him. And he dresses it all up in these like faux intellectual, just fucking bullshit things, like calling his podcast the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. It's like, fuck you, mate. Genuinely, like. Oh god, I fucking hate him so much. Like if
We're triggered by something.
I get triggered by how much of fucking. I can't say
Stupid
that.
Fuck.
Stupid fuck. Not spastic.
Cunt is the best word to use against him.
And prick. And bastard.
And prick. And bastard.
Yeah. Don't watch his videos.
Don't bother even listening to the podcast
If
or
you
his
support
videos.
his Patreon,
I
will fucking just kill you. I'll kill your kids.
Oh my god! Do support his Patreon, like just put money to literally buy fucking. If you live in a flat building that doesn't even have a balcony, just buy balconies instead. Buy balconies and put them in your
generally,
house.
if you support Simon McCad, I would actually prefer it if you sent your money to ISIS. Like,
I would prefer you fund Amazon. You just donate Amazon to help them out. Alright, that's a good choice. Yours is Sonnets is.
Again, I hate everyone. I don't have a specific person that I hate the most, but fucking Mitch McConnell, because I've realised that he looks like that thing out of Labyrinth, and he it just freaks us out. Basically, he's also a horrible human, but
he's got horrible eyes as well.
He's got a horrible saggy face, and he's just a cunt.
Fucking face part of leathery. It looks like your fucking dog. Your dog.
What? Which one?
Sharpie.
The Sharpie. So he looks like Sharpie.
Yeah, he looks like the puppies with a fucking flabby skin.
Man. That's rude.
No, I mean like he looks like.
I'm sorry for body shaming.
Not the Mitch McConnell.
Yeah,
it's not rude to Mitch McConnell.
I mean like I mean it, but like in a nice way.
I get what you said. Mitch McConnell was a horrid person this year. Mine is, I think everyone would agree that he could easily be anybody's. Yeah. No, not him. Paul Joseph Watson could literally be anybody's.
He's a friend of the show.
He's a friend of the show, yeah. Paul has just been despicable this year from start to finish. Yeah. I've watched 3 of his modernity videos, and I just fucking. They're so fucking bad.
Also, just something interested in case anybody doesn't actually watch this, because I know they don't. But on his videos, if you look at his mustache, right, the little bit around the side of his face, you can clearly see where the blur filter over his face covers it a little bit, and it's just quite funny.
He puts fucking filters on him. Mm-hmm. He wears makeup, I'm adamant.
In all the videos, there's Lonabox pointing this out. He tilts his head back a little bit to emphasise his chin because he's really secure in his masculinity. So
Paul's been a rom. You know what? It's a love-hate relationship, but I kind of love the fella because he's such a source of entertainment. Yeah. Like he didn't get under my skin in day-to-day life. Like, I'll sometimes, bring him up, have you saw what he's done? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or I'll look on Twitter and be, fucking ranting about Piers Morgan or some shit. Or just fucking Anthony Fantano. Yeah, Christmas crackers or something like that, right? But it is a bit of a love-hate relationship. I love to watch him sort of crumble and watch him just be so cringeworthy as a 40-year-old man who's probably going to die alone at this point, and he's a definite cokehead. Yeah, I was watching one of his videos, and he definitely has a coke nose.
One of his nostrils is
one of his nostrils is fucked. Yeah. One of his nostrils is dissolving away.
Oh god, he made that tweet where it's basically, you're a fucking idiot if you ever take drugs, and then he almost definitely does a lot of coke, and in his in most of his profile pictures on Twitter he's smoking a fact, and it's like, you're a fucking
at least it's less cancerous than feminism.
Also drinks constantly.
It's like, I smoke, and I might dabble in other things, but
talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I'll dabble in other things, but
milk.
It's the fact he's this conservative icon who is against drugs, but he's actually just a raging cokehead. He's definitely a raging cokehead. It's been shown in a news story that came out. The girl who said he messed about with her. Manipulated her. We're nearing the end here. We are going to leave out one of the categories. We're going to leave out personal stories. We will have another podcast where we talk about our personal stories of lockdown and this year, but. To round it off, we're going to talk about how we've changed politically since 2020 and what we think will happen in 2021. When
I came into 2020, I became sort of mildly left-wing towards the end of 2019, I'd say. But by the start of 2020, I was still a sort of left liberal kind of guy. Looking back, I was kind of the white liberal, which I sort of dislike. Whereas now I've become black, which,
You're a black liberal.
But now... over the course of that, I think a lot of it has just been becoming a lot more class aware than ever, because I grew up working class. I grew up on benefits, and just sort of I'd known that for a while, but I never realised just how important it was and how much it really probably changed the course of my life and how much it affected my family. Just, living basically as the scum of society. I mean, we aren't like
seen as that.
Yeah, seen.
By,
I mean,
middle class people.
Like I know my neighbours like fucking think my dad's like just scum who skies off benefits even though he's disabled.
Of course I do. Fucking fools.
And obviously
as they're like, just make do with life. And I think life's fine, just being shit.
Yeah, and the wrong thing is they're not like middle class; they're working class people. I think they're mostly unemployed.
There is class divisions within class.
Within class groups.
Yeah, within class groups.
But then I think. As a result of just becoming more class where I've been moving a lot further left. I'd say I'm not like I wouldn't call myself a socialist in like the traditional sense, but I'm a socialist in the same way that like Bernie Sanders or maybe Jeremy Corbyn is a socialist. I'd even say I do have like I wouldn't say Marxist leanings, but I have some respect. I have a lot of respect for some of the ideas of Karl Marx and some of the. I definitely value a lot of the contributions that he made to the world.
Like killing 100 million people.
Yeah, 100 trillion.
Actually, I think it was like 20 billion. That number changes every time.
But so I'm not quite a Marxist yet. I probably will be in about a year.
If
the trajectory's
2021, the projected one will be that. How have you changed politically?
I haven't really changed politically. I've always been really left wing. I've just became more like I think I became more politically anxious. Like I look at politics and I'm like, fuck, shit, what's going on? Then I'm just like downward spiral.
Oh shit, what's going on? I'm tripping.
I have a downward spiral
so
about
more
nuclear war.
Informed, more keeping up with it, and that's fed into anxiousness.
But in a horrible way.
Well, for me, it's the exact same as yours. I became more class aware. I'm probably very, very left wing in terms of economics, and definitely in terms of it's hard. I don't want to label myself a Marxist on a podcast or anything like that, but I'm very left wing to say the least, especially when it comes to class. And understand so I'm working class as well. Probably even lower than working class. Underclass, and we have that idea about it. We're the same there, and you pretty much did the same. So
I've always been very left-wing.
And to finish off, we'll look into 2021, okay? Dare we utter the famous words?
It's going to be a great year.
It's going to be amazing.
No, it's going to be a shit year, I'm telling you.
It'll be a great year for bigness this time.
Yeah. No, we're looking to 2021. I feel like, genuinely, I think I've got to say this. I think 2021 will be better.
Yeah, it'll be better.
No, you can't
No, come on.
You're going to jinx it.
With the vaccines.
Stop.
With Biden.
No, you keep doing it. Stop. Stop.
With, what else are the positives?
No, you're going to do what's all
maybe seeing genuine effects of BLM.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Also, maybe the lessons learned from COVID.
Yeah, lessons learned from COVID. Yeah, hopefully lockdowns will be a thing of the past.
You've jinxed it now, because now everybody's going to turn into gorillas off the vaccine. There's going to be a race war, and
Adolf Hitler's going to win like all the elections.
Yeah, and then the world is going to be killed by a disease.
Yeah,
another one.
No, we'll be fine.
Good job.
Come on,
I'm pretty certain. I think it's. Hopefully, it should be better, but fuck knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, fuck knows. After we can't really predict, but you know what? Let's have a bit of hope. It's going to be a good year. No. There we go. It's going to be a good year. I've gone on record. If I'm right at the end of this year, everyone knows
next year, at the very least, we'll have Christmas, so should be alright.
Right, yeah. Alright, so everyone who might be listening at this point, Happy New Year. I hope we enter it in a good way.
Yeah, let's hope it's a good one.
Yeah, let's hope it's a good one. Yeah, let's hope it's a really good one for everybody. And let's hope the world improves a bit. It's been a bit depressing, some parts of this podcast. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
In a bit.
Fuck off!